மறக்காம சர்ப்ரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. தேங்க்யூ.
Well, I couldn't resist showing you the following game from the Ubeda Open in 2000 between Halevard Hagesatha and Alexander Wall. It features, well, I'm not sure whether you would call it a sideline of the exchange variation, but it's a line where white plays this very peculiar move, Queen F3. Now, that's a rather insistent way to get what he wants as white. Of course, the normal way to play this is Knight C3, Bishop E7, and only now Queen F3. Do you know, I think I even saw Korchnoi play this once. Just get the queenside pieces out, Bishop E3, castles on the queenside, and then get a kingside pawn storm going. Okay, this could be effective. Well, we'll see an example of it in our coming game. Of course, our move order with Knight C6 stops this plan dead in its tracks. So the bottom line is, if white wants to get a position with Queen F3, he's got to play it right away. But we also have an independent move order here. We can play Knight C6, Bishop E3. And now, instead of Wall's Bishop E7, which goes back into the main line, how about Queen E7 here? One peculiar queen move is answered by another. And of course, this sets up the threat of Knight takes D4. It is a very unorthodox position. But you might find some white players employing Queen F3. Now, just let's see how this works. Obviously, if white makes the mistake, Knight C3, then black goes Knight takes D4. No problem there. If he goes Bishop E2, then Knight B4 is an interesting move, threatening Knight C2. And if Knight A3, I mean, the Knight is very poor on H3. I think black has a very strong move now in H5. The very best that white can get in this position, with Bishop G4 coming up, is a scramble to equality. But even then, I prefer black's position after G6. Bishop D2, A5, Queen E3. Well, black just gets his pieces out with Bishop F5, Knight F3, and then after Queen takes E3, Bishop takes E3, Knight A4, you know, black is doing rather well. Again and again, we've seen this Knight on A3 is absolutely hopeless. So after Queen E7, if white plays D5, Knight D4, Queen D1, and now Knight F5. All of these lines seem to give black the better position. Now, it's not really surprising in our game that Wall misses the opportunity to play Queen E7. I mean, when you're actually, you know, playing the game, it's hard to find such a move because it's very unstereotyped. But Bishop E7 is reasonable, and now we go back into the normal line where castle on the queen side is played. And now black plays Bishop E6. That's not a mistake. It's a move directed completely at the position of white's queen, and if white plays the loosening move D5, black's going to put his knight on E5 and save the day. So white has to go B3, which is not really a move he wants to make, A5, and now white goes C5. Already I'm starting to like black's game here, as white seems to be attacking too soon. Bishop B5 was answered by Knight B4, and Knight GE2 by C6. Then Bishop D3 came, and black played the sacrifice A4. Well, white's opening idea does not appear to have been especially successful. Black has been able to get all his minor pieces out. He's got his king to what looks like relative safety. The white pawn roller hasn't started, and black has sacrificed this pawn. Knight takes A4, B5. The lines are opening up on the queen side, which is exactly what black wants. But white could hardly have dreamt of the fate awaiting his king in the amazing rest of this game. As he took on B6 en passant, Knight takes A2 check, and now the start of a very long march begins with the modest King B2. Black took on B6, there were some captures, and D5 was answered by Queen A5. Well, white has got such an awful position here, he may as well take the bishop and see what happens. But what awaited him was a very cruel fate. The king was hounded all around the board. King D2. Okay, knight takes D3. That prevents the white king from escaping. The queen captured on B3. Well, black blocked with the knight, white blocked with the knight, and now bishop f6 intensified the pressure. E takes f7. Well, that's kind of irrelevant. White still has to deal with black's threat. And bishop d4 was white's answer. The king was driven even further out into the open. And now black took some squares with d5. Rook a1 was answered by queen c4 check. And in order to preserve his knight, the king had to wander into black's half of the board. Not very nice. Rook a d8. In such a position, quiet moves are permissible because white's not going to be able to resolve the problem of his king in the very near future. Rook hc1 was answered by d4, and knight a4 by queen b4. Knight c5, d3. Well, in a position like this, you can't survive. You can't play chess with your king naked in the enemy half of the board, despite the fact you're a piece up. You're just not going to be able to survive this. And so it proves, as poor old Halvard's king gets driven from pillar to post. King g5, h6, he visits h5, he visits g4. He's driven to h3. Then he's driven to g4, whereupon he is mated. Now, I'm not saying this is the refutation of the system involving queen f3, but certainly queen f3 is made to look dubious by the analysis and the continuation of this game. First of all, after the immediate queen f3, you can play queen e7. That seems to give black a decent position. Or you may even go back into the main line and play bishop e6, which also looks pretty promising for black after b3, a5. There will be players out there, following Korchnой's example, following quite a few Grandmasters' examples, who like this system with queen f3. But I don't like it too much, and I think black gets good chances against it.
மறக்காம சர்ப்ரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. Thank you.